This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. So, I guess the best way to start this is there have been a lot of, different viewpoints as far as Games Workshop is considered. And I wanted to expand upon some of the things that I said with the 50th anniversary. There have been at least 10 things that they have done that have really hurt them, I think. Now, let's make one thing perfectly clear. Games Workshop is a monster, okay? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. There are things that you can say about this company that you have to point out that are legitimately, amazing. First of all, 50-year company, as it started from Rogue Trader all the way to, present day, continually marketing models, okay? And 40K, they're in videos, they're in, it's a pop culture phenomenon. The problem is that eventually when you keep doing certain things, it's going to catch up with you. Now, you can compare this a lot to Dungeons and Dragons in a way. Dungeons and Dragons is a lot worse off than GW is, because they still have a certain base of people that will always follow them no matter what. It's a funny thing. I sit here and I criticize, but yet in my top 10 games of all time, Blood Bowl sits there, Space Hulk sits there, Warhammer Quest sits there, okay, Mordheim sits there, Epic 40K, not Space, even though I did like Space Marine, sits there, Talisman, okay, these are some of the games that are some of my all-time favorite games, and that doesn't change. And who made these games? Who made these games? Games Workshop. Games Workshop, really enhanced everything I ever had as far as gaming was. And to be around 50 years and watch that, and every time you get really mad at them, they do something and they pull you back in a bit. I've had it happen a few times, okay? Necromunda, another game, I left off, in my top 20. The problem is the few things that they did that really are disappointing, okay? We've recently talked about the 50-year anniversary, okay? You could have really done some things here to really pull old fans and new fans together, okay? You could have, if you didn't want to reprint games or anything, you could have did a hardcover beautiful book, okay, with pictures of the old days, reprinted Rogue Trader. You could have done little things if you didn't want to invest and do a lot of big things. I think that was a missed opportunity. The other thing is that when you became a traded company, it made sense. Okay, it is a business. Businesses are about making money, not sacrificing and all this other stuff. But making money comes at a cost sometimes, and it's quality. And when you let people like Presley and Jones and all the big names, and there were some questions here. I mean, some really great points that people made that really I want to bring out. But you let these the Chambers and so forth go, just walk out the door because of marketing, because you build everything around marketing, because you become a money machine. You lose something, okay? You lose people, okay? And you can only do that for so long. You can keep on saying, yeah, we'll bring more people in, we'll do this, we'll do that, but eventually everybody, when you forget who you are, I think it hurts in the end. One of the biggest complaints is the models are expensive. And someone in the comments made a fantastic point by saying the models have always been expensive. And that's true. Even back in the day, you would go, oh my God, this is so expensive compared to other games. But it was worth it because of another thing that they forgot about: story. Okay? Everything is so watered down. The heresy, okay, coming out with a third, eighth edition of 40K. I understand you have to do that, but it seems that you make certain rules to attract certain people, and then it breaks the game, and then you've got to wipe everything out. It's almost like comic books in a way. They water things down, they change the stories, and then you've got to blow up the universe in order to reboot everything. And how many times has DC Comics done that? Well, it just goes to show you, it kind of falls in line that people do not have the attention span anymore or the creativity anymore. And when you have 3 legends that you just kind of, okay, on your way, we're going to market, we're going to do this, instead of listening to the people that got you to the show. Okay? And there have been a lot of great people. I'm not, and I don't want to cut the people that are there now. I do believe some of them have good intentions, except for that one guy that went pew 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 when he was holding a model, which was probably the most cringiest thing I've ever seen. They become lemmings in a way, and they allow themselves to become a job. Where's the guy that stands up and say, hey, let's try this. I'm willing to put my position on the line and do something, or listen to the fans and build around that, because the fan base is what pays for it. The fanboys, as they call them, okay? Some of them will buy whatever, whenever they want. But when you start wiping out your past, and I can't understand, when you take the name Warhammer Quest, okay, and it means a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to me. And then you put an abomination out like you just did, okay, which is nothing like it. Has nothing to do with the original Warhammer Quest, or even the historical value of what Warhammer Quest was. It's an atrocity. Okay? Is Kill Team good? The first couple incarnations were pretty good, along with other things. But when you start tweaking and twisting and turning and forgetting and selling off properties like Talisman, okay, which, was a complete shame. Mordheim, no, it wasn't the most popular game, but people loved it, and it had a cult status. And if you brought it back, could it have done anything? Done some things? Yes, it could have. Chainsaw Warrior, White. You came out with a 50th edition of White Dwarf magazine, okay, and you short ran it, and now nobody can get it. Another bad move. You're just forgetting. You're forgetting what they were, what you were, and how you were. And I wanted to look at a couple things here, because there were a couple of points I wanted to bring out. Like I said, I want to make sure I really came back to this. A lot of things that people complain about are the expensive models and the prices going up. They've always been high for GW. Okay? And if you cross-reference with a time calculator, I think it would be pretty even with what you paid then to the cost effectiveness of now. And and that's just being fair to them. You have to be fair to them. Listen, they kept everything in the UK. You have to admire them for everything that they've done. Everybody has this thing that and somebody really made a great point that everybody just thinks there's this guy with this hammer. Yes, I do believe that in some ways, they have to play to their stockholders, but these people want their bonuses. Their employees get their bonuses and things like that, and they do, and it really, it's a business at the end of the day. And is it a successful business? Yes. Games Workshop is. And do half the influencers really believe in what they're pushing? I don't think so. But they want to keep getting the free stuff. Okay? And they want to be able to get the stuff that they can paint, and people will try to mimic that. And that's where they get their views and their money from. Okay? And having GW by their side, they will lie for them, of course. I believe that. I'm not held by that. I'm not handicapped by that. One person said here, which really made sense, is that the fourth K has been watered down so much that it doesn't look anything like it used to be. They gutted the third edition of Heresy, which was a shame, which really cut a lot of ties for the older fans. It seems like they're forgetting the older fans. People have been screaming for Space Hulk. Why is it so hard to do Space Hulk? But yet we'll invest in creating different types of miniatures when you can reprint certain things and basically really print money, because a lot of people would love a more Space Hulk, or even more, having expansions for that makes sense. People would pay money for it. People are paying money for this new Warhammer Quest. Okay? And it's nothing like the old one. Now, I've heard that they couldn't recreate the old one. I get it. Okay. But could you have created something of your own ilk that used kind of the same rule set and everything like that? A homage to it? And at least it would earn the name Warhammer Quest? All the box games, Starfleet, there was, the Roadkill game, which, Bamas on the Sulphur River, which was, just a little itty bitty game, but it was a lot of fun. Some things just didn't work. Inquisitor didn't work. Okay, I understood that. War Master, I don't think that was very popular, even though I do like it and I still have it. Some things work, some things don't. And I just don't think, by the things that they have done, okay? Age of Sigmar, I understand sometimes change and reinventing yourself is good, but I think you lost something when you did that. I really do. I really, really do. The old world had a feel to it. And maybe that's because I'm an older guy, but maybe, fantasy Space Marines, really appealed to a lot of people. And at first I was thinking, I kind of bought in, but then it just lost me. It lost me, and it was a shame. And I think they've done more wrong than they've done good. Some things you can't blame them for, okay? And I think, we hold them in such this high regard. It's just they alienate a lot of fans. And I think they just, at times, can feel soulless and the corporate machine. Okay, to be fair. When I think maybe sometimes if you just open up and listen to a majority, put out some polls. It doesn't hurt to do that. You can do it on your YouTube channel. Hey, we're putting out a poll to see what you guys really want to see. Tell us. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you to hear what you want next and stuff like that. And if it's feasible, do it. But get the support of the fans back, because every year you drip a little bit more. Yeah, you're still making big money. But at some point, everybody walks away from, you can't simp forever, okay? Eventually you walk away and you just find a different girlfriend, okay? And nobody holds on forever. And I think if they keep the current path, will there be another 50 years? I don't know. I am not Nostradamus. But I can tell you this. They've done so many things the wrong way that the good that they do, I think, gets really overshadowed by it. And instead of people really supporting it, a lot of people just hold on to a memory, like I do. I hold on to, did I buy the 3rd season of Blood Bowl? Yeah, because of a memory. Did I buy Warhammer Quest? Yeah, you're going to be seeing that review too. And because I hold on to a memory, okay? You keep holding on, and it's one of those things that you keep on hoping that she comes back, And sometimes things are hard to let go, but sometimes you have to. And I think I get to that point at some point. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of people like me that feel the same way as I do. I would love to hear your comments on this, okay? And let's really just try to be fair and maybe put in here what we can do to maybe help them, or they can help themselves, basically. I would love to see some of your comments on that. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon, everybody.